clearly we are living in a moment of such clear evidence of like who runs for and holds office really matters.
So I have seen a ton of presidential-based movies, from American President to First Daughter, which I love First Daughter. I'm not gonna lie, with Katie Holmes. Like, I love this movie, right? Is there a movie that you have seen about the presidency and what it's like to be in the White House that is so horribly inaccurate that it's almost, I mean, I'm sure they all are, but like, is there one in particular that you feel like is super egregious?
I think like on behalf of like the Secret Service and the US Air Force, I was really kind of annoyed by Air Force One. Like, that just would have never happened. Like, the Air Force escort Air Force One, like that, what? And like, that's not how the plane is built. And the Secret Service like would have never allowed any of that to happen. So I was just like super offended on their behalfs, I think. I
The
know
Secret Service does get done in these movies, yeah.
It's like, you know, as a movie, it's a good movie. But like from an accuracy standpoint, it just felt like, oh gosh, no.
I did see your mom tell a story about how you and your friends tried to order pizza in the White House. Was that ever successful?
That was never successful. Never successful. So what we then wound up doing with like, one of my friends would like get the pizza and then bring it, was just like the kind of life hack around that challenge. Yeah.
Now, I know your kids are still pretty young, but I guess how cognizant are they about where the family stands in American history? Your mother being the first female presidential, nominee, or the first one to gain the Democratic nomination. Your dad having been the president. Like, how aware are they of where they now fit in American history?
They're aware that we call my dad Pop-Pop. They're aware that Pop-Pop was president. And they're aware that Grandma ran for president. And Aiden, our son, who's now 4, I think is particularly like feels connected to this because he knows that he was like in my belly when I was campaigning. And then after he was born, that he like, went around the country with me. And so they definitely know that about their grandparents. And they do feel kind of, especially I think for Aiden, kind of a connection to that like history, like our country's history and also our family's history. But admittedly, we talk a lot more about Donald Trump now and like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So we talk about, we talk a lot about coronavirus and how poorly like we think Donald Trump has done, that we're doing our parts, like staying home when we can, like wearing masks whenever we go outside. And how like Donald Trump like doesn't even believe that you should stay home. Like he goes golfing all the time, or he like, he doesn't wear a mask, and how like wrong that is and irresponsible that is. We talk a lot about Donald Trump like as a bully. So like, in things that like they're 4 and 5, but in things they understand, because like they know it's important to wear a mask. So like, why is the president not wearing a mask? Like they know that they should treat everyone with respect. Like, why is the president so disrespectful? Like they know families should be together. Like, why does the president separate children from their parents? So, we talk about things that we really think they'll understand because of what's happening like in their own lives, or just because of kind of how they're living their lives, because they're citizens. Like they're little kids, but like they're citizens. And I want them to grow up understanding that like being a good citizen is part of being a good person. Whether they're, my daughter's on track apparently to be quite tall. So like whether she like wants to work really hard and one day like be a basketball player in school or later in life professionally, no pressure, Charlotte, or like, whatever either of our sons will choose to do, they're always going to be citizens. So we talk about that, and then we talk about how much we hope like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win, and like what we're going to do to support them, and how we're going to vote by mail this time. So they're not going to get the great I voted stickers, or in New York, I don't know what it's like in California, but in New York, we have these awesome future voter stickers they give kids where it says, future voter. Yeah, they're great. So I was like, we're not going to get the future voter stickers this time because we always take them to vote with us, but you're still going to be there when we fill out our ballots. You'll see us vote. So yes, like they're aware of their grandparents. I think they're proud of their grandparents. They're aware of kind of what they feel are their personal connections to their grandparents. But at least in our house, we're like far more focused on like this election and kind of why we think Donald Trump is a bad president and why we think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris like need to kind of succeed him and what we're going to do to try to help make that possible. Voting, advocacy, and more.
Um, along those same lines, I mean, they're aware of who their grandparents are, but is it hard to shield them from the amount of negativity that has come from Donald Trump and also, by the way, Fox News, which I swear to God, if I have one as a journalist, you understand as somebody who's been the target of them in your family many, many times, as have I. But I try to explain to people, I was like, that's not news. Like, I don't know what they're doing over there. That shit ain't news. Like, it's complete propaganda. But nevertheless, because these attacks are often so public and so vicious, is it a struggle to protect them from that part of it, about what people have said and are saying about your family?
You know, Jamal, we thankfully it's not so much a struggle because they are so young, but we have talked to them a little bit about how Donald Trump like says some mean things, again, kind of language that they can understand, and hopefully language that feels like real to them, raw to them, but isn't scary to them. So like, see, like Donald Trump has said some mean things about like grandma and pop, but also, or also like grandma used to work for President Obama. Like he said lots of mean things about President Obama. He's still totally, we don't say this to them, but like parenthetically, he's still totally obsessed with President Obama and my mom. And so they'll say like, well, that's not nice, right? Like, that's not nice about President Obama, or that's not nice about grandma. So I say, no, right? But you know, what's worse, or again, like trying to circle it back to kind of more issues that are rooted in like what's happening and not just the rhetoric. We're like, yeah, that's not nice. But what's worse is like Donald Trump is, trying to make it hard for people to get the healthcare they need if they have coronavirus, or Donald Trump is, trying to make it hard for, people who are from other countries who want to come and like study in this country to like be a student. He's making that hard, or, trying to take it out of the rhetoric and the meanness. Like I want them to feel like, oh yeah, that's mean and that's not okay. But what's even worse, like, are the things he's doing. But it's not hard to protect them now because like they don't have their own phones. Obviously, like they're 1, 4, and 5. Like they're not watching television by themselves. There've been a couple times where people like approached us, obviously like pre-COVID in the park, and said some things that are, unkind.
To your face?
Everything that people say to me on Twitter, they say to me in person.
You seriously?
Oh my gosh, 100%. Like, I wish you were dead. I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish your mother had aborted you. I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish you had died in Benghazi.
They said this.
Yeah, I wish you had died in Benghazi. Then maybe your mother would have had a different reaction. Like, I hope your children die so your family's line dies with you. Like, I hope your kids wind up in ashes. Like, that's where all Jewish kids should wind up. And I'm just like, the amount of like hate is so intense. Thankfully, doesn't happen often, but it definitely happens. You're always just like, what else can you say, Jemele? Except like, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Like, I don't feel that way about your kids. Like, I wish you nothing but the best. Like, hope you have a better day tomorrow. Like, like what else are you supposed to say?
And this is why you're a better human being than me, because and you're right. If you reacted to everybody, you'd be doing it all day, and I understand. But I wish somebody would roll up on me and my kids and say something like that. The next blurb you read in the paper is me whooping somebody's ass. That's what you read about.
Well, I don't put that on anybody. No. Definitely not you.
No, that is crazy.
So it's just like, like my kids are playing in the park and it's like, oh, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way. So thankfully they're not aware of it because they're like playing in the park. And I do think though, like how I protect them and how I equip them to protect themselves, how I help them understand to not be closed off. Cause like, I want them to make friends and I want them to be receptive to serious criticism from serious people, whether it's like a friend or a teacher or, their mom. But to be like armed well and have thick skin against people who are going to say, mean, untrue, off the wall, wacky stuff, because they're my children or my parents' grandchildren. So that'll definitely be like, as their mom, that's a hugely important part of my job that I think will be a never ending part of my job. But right now, thankfully, because they're little, it's like easy to protect them.
Before I get to some really fun questions that I have for you, or at least I hope they're fun, with a game that I play with all of my guests, just for the obligatory answer, I will ask you what you are asked every single time, and I think you know what that is. You have often said, I listened very carefully to how you phrased it. You said, right now, you've said, like, you have no plans on running for political office. Keyword is right now, all right? But is this something that down the line, whenever down the line may be for you, that you would think about doing? Because you do talk a lot about action and how people need to get involved. So Ms. Clinton, or that does also apply to you. So is this something that maybe in the future you might think about doing?
Yeah, I definitely think about it. And I hope like everyone thinks about this candidly, because clearly we are living in a moment of such clear evidence of like who runs for and holds office really matters. So, right now the answer for me is no. Like I really like my city councilwoman in New York City, Carlina Rivera. I think she's doing a great job. Right. And like, I really like my congresswoman. I like my senators. And I think to run for office, Jemele, a few things have to be true. I think, like, of course you have to believe it's like the right time in your own life, but you also have to believe like you could do a better job than whomever's there. I think you have to be able to make a really good case. Like I not only know what I want to happen, I not only believe I have the right skills and experiences to make that happen, but I'm going to do a better job than the person who's there. I don't think I can do a better job right now than like my councilwoman or congresswoman. So
damn, too bad you don't live in Florida. Anyway, that'd be perfect. You ever move there?
Oh, Florida.
Everybody's fine.